What did you actually see?
I walked into my absolute worst nightmare. Amanda lying face down. There was blood around her.
She's partially nude. She had scratches to her face, and she had a serious head trauma.
Through her hair, they could see that there was a gunshot wound. That's when everything changed.
I just remember falling on the floor. It was the hardest moment of my life.
I was in shock. This was my soulmate. I just went numb.
I just cried and prayed. I can't believe that she is gone.
It struck some people as odd that he just sat in the driveway and his wife is inside dying.
There were several local groups that determined he was the murderer.
People saw a person walking in the neighborhood with a hoodie pulled on tight.
It's night vision cameras, so his eyes are bright. That video gave me creeps.
And that person gets into the car the same morning that Amanda was killed.
How did you process your new reality?
There were so many questions in my mind. Who would do this? Why would somebody shoot Amanda?
Tonight, we're on the case in Indianapolis. The city, known for its famous motor speedway, became the setting for a heartbreaking crime when a pastor's wife was brutally ambushed in her own home. As the investigation began, detectives were forced to consider every possibility, even putting a church leader on their suspect list. But then the unusual pieces of a complex puzzle slowly fell into place and revealed the cold and calculated plan behind the attack. November 10th, 2015. It was just after 8 on a cold, crisp Tuesday morning when the Indianapolis Metro Police got a call that would shift the department into overdrive. A panic-stricken husband was on the line with a shocking story. What did the caller report?
He found his wife Amanda on their living room floor with some serious head trauma.
Pastor Davy Blackburn will never forget those terrifying moments. What did you actually see?
Amanda lying face down, blood around her. She was unconscious, she was breathing, but it didn't seem good at all. And I walked into my absolute worst nightmare.
Amanda was 13 weeks pregnant with her second child. Davy feared that issues she was having with her pregnancy may have led to tragedy.
She had been experiencing some dizzy spells, and there was a ladder that she had used for decoration that had fallen next to her.
Davy knew that his wife needed medical attention, and fast.
I grabbed my phone, I tried to call the paramedics as fast as possible, but I had blood on my hands from trying to turn her over, and I couldn't get the touchscreen on the iPhone to open up, so I'm panicking.
Davy was able to get in touch with police, and while emergency workers raced to his home, Davy tended to his wife and his 15-month-old son, Weston, who he had found crying in his crib, unharmed. It was only then that the terrified pastor began to see the chaos in his living room differently.
While I'm waiting for the paramedics, I start noticing these things around the room. This lamp that had fallen, her credit cards strewn out all over the place. I start realizing that someone had broken into our home.
To the trained eye of first responders, the evidence was all too clear. They saw the Blackburns' home as a crime scene and Amanda as the victim of a violent attack.
They realized that Amanda had been shot in the back of the head.
Through her hair, they could see that there was a gunshot wound, and That's when everything changed.
An emergency call about a pregnant wife falling off a ladder was now being investigated as an attempted murder. The news was more than Davy Blackburn could absorb. How did you even begin to process that?
Moments like that, they're so traumatic. It's like everything goes in fast motion and slow motion all at the same time. And your brain is just firing on 8 cylinders. Truthfully, it felt very out of body.
Paramedics were doing everything they could. Somehow, despite her injuries, the 28-year-old mother was still clinging to life.
She was breathing, but she wasn't able to tell them anything about what had happened to her. She was in extremely critical condition.
As the ambulance sirens faded into the distance, detectives began to piece together what had actually happened to Amanda Blackburn. And the pictures started to come into focus as they found chilling evidence that her grief-stricken husband had failed to report.
As you enter, you look immediately to your left. That's where everything with this crime had happened. The bladder knocked over, the lamp. Her wallet was on the floor. Her debit cards and credit cards were thrown around. There was a roll of duct tape, and her panties were off to the side.
Based on the way she was found, did officers fear she had been sexually assaulted?
Yes, she was found partially nude. Her shirt was pushed up. So it was something that did come to mind pretty quickly.
Detectives and crime scene investigators also discovered what appeared to be a bullet hole under the staircase.
In the crevice between a trim board and the stairs was just the tiniest little hole. And we were able to retrieve 1 round from there. It was a .38 class caliber bullet.
And there were clues that didn't fit as well. Items from inside Amanda's handbag had been tossed around, but neither her jewelry nor wallet had been stolen. What did you make of the fact that her personal belongings did seem to be there in the living room beside her?
It just looked like things were thrown around, things left behind that you think would be taken.
You could see that there was some kind of a struggle in front of you, but the rest of the home, there was nothing else.
What were some of your initial theories as to what motivated this murder?
The lack of forced entry to any door really took your mind in a lot of different directions. I was so used to the door being kicked in or some kind of entry through a window. When you saw that, you realized this was potentially somebody that she knew. Was there some type of domestic situation between Amanda and Davy Blackburn?
And the story the emotional pastor shared with detectives only added to those concerns. What did Davy Blackburn tell police about that morning?
Davy was following his usual routine of waking up early to go work out, and right around 6 o'clock he left the house. The thing that bothered me about the initial part of that is he told investigators that he left the front door unlocked, which I struggled with.
Did he say why he left the front door unlocked?
They were short a key. He wanted Amanda to have the key if she had to leave for some reason.
What was going through your mind?
Just why? They lived in a middle-class neighborhood in Indianapolis, but they're surrounded by some high-crime areas. And there had been some burglaries in the neighborhood in recent weeks, and everybody knew about the burglaries. So it bothered me a little bit that he just left the door unlocked. It's just not something I would have done.
Then there were the pastor's statements during the initial 911 call. Detectives now found it hard to believe that anyone could have looked at that bloody scene and thought that Amanda had been hurt during an accident. There were personal items scattered around the room, yet nothing stolen. And Davy had never mentioned the evidence of a sexual attack. Was he blinded by the shock and trauma? Or did Davy Blackburn have something to hide? Police investigating the brutal attack on 28-year-old Amanda Blackburn had questions for her husband, Davy. In particular, where had he been when she was shot in their living room? Did you spend time with Amanda that morning?
No, I didn't. She was still asleep when I woke up to go to the gym.
Davy said he left for the gym at 6 that morning and was there until after 7. What did he say he did after his workout?
After his workout, he immediately drives home.
Detectives were concerned about that timeline. According to Davy's own account, he pulled into his driveway more than 40 minutes before he called 911.
When I got home, I actually was in the driveway for a little while talking with my best friend, who's a pastor in the Delaware area.
He continues to have this conversation with his friend in the driveway for a good 40 minutes.
Amanda had always told me not to come in until Weston was awake. So kept looking through the window, trying to see if Weston's door was open.
Davy told police he didn't see anything wrong when he glanced through the window, and that it was after 8 when he finally hung up to go inside.
After the phone call, he steps into the house through the unlocked front door, and then he finds Amanda laying on the floor.
Police knew that they'd have to confirm every detail of Davy's story. But if it was true, it created a very narrow time frame for the crime. It meant that the attack had begun sometime after 6 in the morning and was over by 7:30 when the pastor pulled into his driveway. While police looked for ways to corroborate Davy Blackburn's unusual alibi, the rest of Amanda's loved ones, including her sister Amber, were just finding out about the tragedy. How did you get the news that something happened to Amanda?
My grandma came in and said, Amanda has been shot. And I just remember falling to my knees. It was just the hardest moment of my life.
Although Amber was a nurse, nothing in her training prepared her for walking into the hospital and being told that her sister might not survive her injuries.
Davy was just sitting there in shock. They took us back to see her. I do remember holding her hand, and in that moment, I remember feeling hopeful. I got on my knees and I was like, Lord, please, you have to save her. There were so many questions in my mind. I was like, why would somebody shoot Amanda?
He loves this.
There were no easy answers. Amanda had always been a beacon of light.
She truly was full of joy, full of life. She loved to laugh. She cared so deeply about people.
Weston's so excited.
And those were some of the same traits that led Davy Blackburn to fall in love with her 20 years before. How did you first meet Amanda?
I was introduced to Amanda by her sister's husband. We went to a concert and her beauty was just radiating. Her personality was just contagious. I called my mom that night and I said, Mom, I met the girl of my dreams.
Amanda had felt the same way about Davy Blackburn. The two were quickly inseparable. They married, started a ministry together, and were blessed with the birth of their son, Weston. How would you describe that chapter of Amanda's life?
She was so content. She was truly fulfilled in what she was doing and in her calling in life, and also in being a mom.
Amanda has an emergency in the house. I gotta go home.
But all of those dreams came to a tragic end the morning after the attack, when Amanda was officially declared dead in her hospital bed. You were there when she passed.
That was the moment I just went numb. I could not believe that was happening. I felt all alone. This was my best friend. This was my soulmate.
How did you process your new reality?
I just cried and prayed. I remember thinking, I can't believe this is happening to our family. I can't believe that she is gone. And that moment was just hopeless.
As I was leaving the hospital, but I had never experienced a rage to this level, and it felt very dark. It felt like it was going to overtake me.
Police were watching Davy Blackburn's behavior carefully. The case was now officially a homicide investigation. And detectives at the medical examiner's office were discovering that solving it would be challenging. What did her autopsy reveal?
The cause of death was a gunshot wound to the back of the head. She was also shot in the lower left arm, which traveled up into her bicep. She had a through-and-through gunshot wound to the upper left back.
Was it confirmed she had been sexually assaulted?
Yes, there was a sexual assault kit done on her, but it was after the initial response from first responders, so we really had no physical evidence.
Detectives knew they would have to find another way to connect a suspect to the crime. And as word of the attack spread, new information surfaced. A series of critical clues that would send the investigation in a very unlikely direction. The headlines detailing Amanda Blackburn's murder had left the city of Indianapolis shaken. Residents wondered how an innocent pastor's wife could have been shot to death in her own home. And police knew their investigation would start with a hard look at Davy Blackburn.
Some questioned what was his role in this crime.
They had doubts about his timeline and alibi. In particular, the 40-plus minutes he claimed to have remained in his car on the phone with a friend.
It struck some people as odd that he just sat in the driveway for all this period of time and his wife is inside dying.
And people looked at that as there's this period of time where he could have done this.
And the veteran investigators knew there was only one way to get to the truth.
You start with the alibi and you check off boxes. What time he got to the gym.
Police pulled surveillance tape that documented when Davy Blackburn arrived for his workout. Did Davy actually go to the gym when he said he had?
Yes, he did.
Did he stay as long as he claimed he had?
Yes, the surveillance tape matched exactly to what Davy had told us. The amount of time he was there, how he got there, how he got back.
Then came the most important evidence. Records that confirmed the pastor's whereabouts from when he left LA Fitness at 7:10 a.m. until he made the 911 call.
The phone records matched up to him having the conversation in the driveway. So everything matched up to what he was saying.
Everything he told us checked out.
And there was more than just the video and phone data that left police certain that Davy had not killed his wife. What ultimately convinced you that Davy had not been involved in the murder?
In analyzing the scene, there was dried blood. So she had been bleeding for a while.
The blood evidence indicated the attack had to have begun while Davy was still at the gym. And a canvass of the Blackburn street led to a witness who confirmed the theory.
There was a neighbor who heard a gunshot around 6:40 to 6:45 a.m. So those two items sewed it up for me.
Davy Blackburn was officially ruled out as a person of interest. The heartbroken pastor was relieved the investigation could now move in the right direction.
It's normal to be person of interest number one in something like this, but that was very difficult. I was still in shock.
Davy also knew that those suspicions would linger until whoever was actually responsible was behind bars. And unbeknownst to him, police were making progress. Pieces of the puzzle were falling into place as video evidence from the Blackburns' neighbors was recovered.
The cameras produced a lot of surveillance video, and a few people saw a person walking in the neighborhood who they thought potentially could be involved in this.
Surveillance cameras captured a man on the phone. What made them so suspicious of this person?
This was a person walking up and down the street with a hoodie pulled on tight. He's talking on his phone and was very animated, appeared to be upset about something and was loud.
Nobody recognized the man, but the neighborhood video cameras did document how he finally left.
Eventually, a light-colored Chrysler Sebring stops, and that person gets into the front passenger door of that car.
Was his face ever revealed on the surveillance tape that was gathered?
No, the surveillance video was not good enough to be able to see a person's face.
Detectives believe there was only one logical explanation for why the stranger was there at that time of the morning.
We thought that this person might be responsible for the murder of Amanda Blackburn.
Police in Indianapolis were trying to find someone who could identify the man in a hooded sweatshirt seen on surveillance video within minutes of Amanda Blackburn's murder. But the next break in the case came from taking a closer look at another crime committed in the neighborhood that same morning. There was a report of a burglary a couple of houses down from Amanda Blackburn's. What can you tell me about that?
This was just a few houses to the west. There was a woman who came home and found that her house had been ransacked. Somebody had entered her house through the screened-in back porch and forced their way in through the back door.
The woman, who worked a night shift, was not at home at the time of what appeared to have been a pre-dawn break-in. What time was that home burglarized?
About 5:30 in the morning.
Police asked the woman how she could be certain when the crime had taken place.
She had a webcam in the residence, and she stated that the persons who entered the home had disabled that shortly after coming in.
The time that camera had been shut down was just 30 minutes before Davy Blackburn drove to the gym. In fact, police believed it was likely that whoever had committed the burglary would have seen him pull out of his driveway. Did you suspect whoever was responsible for the burglary was also responsible for Amanda's murder?
I did. I used to work burglary, and I take statements from burglars, and they would hit a neighborhood. So, too big of a coincidence for a burglary to happen 2 doors down, and then this happened here. They were going to be linked.
People who have seen Davy Blackburn leave the neighborhood conclude that this is another easy burglary because nobody's home. There's absolutely no way that this could have been a coincidence.
The burglary report indicated that the intruders had stolen some typical items from the Blackburns' neighbor's home, and some odd ones.
Taken in that burglary was a TV, a MacBook, a bag of oranges, and a pink sweater.
Some of the items that were stolen were kind of strange. Stolen oranges. It just bizarre.
While detectives wondered about why those items were stolen, A new clue gave them hope of picking up the burglar's trail.
I found a voicemail on Amanda's phone from Chase Bank indicating that there was suspicious activity, an attempted withdrawal and a successful withdrawal.
All of the suspicious activity had taken place between 6:35 and 7 on the morning of Amanda's murder. That's when detectives discovered there had been a card missing from Amanda's wallet.
It's not until I'd heard the message that we realized that there's a debit card out there.
Suddenly, many of the unusual details of the case began to come together, including the hooded man on the phone and the Chrysler Sebring that picked him up. Is that the point at which you became convinced that several people had been involved in the burglaries and the murder?
Yes.
It now seemed likely that one of the burglars who stole Amanda's debit card had waited behind at the crime scene to make sure that his partner had the right PIN number when he used her card at the ATM.
There were 2 transactions that morning. There was a failed attempt. About 10 minutes later, there was a successful withdrawal of $400.
Armed with this new information, detectives raced to the 2 banks, hoping that one of the transactions had been caught on tape. What did the surveillance video show?
The black male drove up to a ATM in a light-colored Chrysler Sebring. This person had some type of pink material wrapped around his face and a hoodie wrapped around his head, and you could plainly see him attempting the transaction in the video.
So you couldn't make out his face?
You could not make out his face.
The second ATM camera captured the same disguised man making the $400 withdrawal.
On that video, you can see an individual putting something up to their mouth to disguise themselves.
The make and model of the car linked it to one stolen just hours before the murder. Investigators hope that if they were able to recover it, evidence from the crimes might be found. A citywide APB was put out on the car, and that effort paid off.
On the night of November 11th, a light-colored Chrysler Sebring was found.
The tipster who called in the abandoned car said that it had been there for more than 24 hours.
The car had been there since the same morning that Amanda was killed.
A search of the Sebring revealed critical evidence.
As soon as we found a vehicle, we treated it as a crime scene. And I was immediately excited about what we were seeing because in the trunk was a bag of oranges.
Police believe they were the bag of oranges stolen from Amanda's neighbor. And there was more.
There was a pink sweater that was later identified by the burglary victim as being hers.
There was also evidence in the car that linked it to Amanda's murder.
I found an ATM receipt from that bank where they said that an attempt was made.
What did that mean to your investigation?
You have the property from the other burglary. You have the ATM receipt from the failed transaction. That was the car.
Still, police were frustrated. It seemed that nothing they recovered would lead them to a suspect. But little did investigators know that they had just found the clue that would break the case wide open. Indianapolis Metro Police had just found a stolen Chrysler Sebring. Inside was an ATM receipt linked to Amanda Blackburn's murder. As detectives looked into the car theft, they learned more about the brazen thieves who stole it.
The woman who woke up at about 4:30 in the morning and realized her cell phone was missing. Her keys were missing, and her car was gone.
The woman had been asleep in her home throughout the entire robbery. In fact, she had a security camera that captured the whole crime.
They're walking around and looking at everything. It's night vision cameras, so their eyes are bright. That video gave me creeps.
Unfortunately, it was now the third time that police had video of their suspects that failed to capture an identifiable face. Still, the images were clear enough that detectives were now certain that 3 men were involved in the crime spree. And the key to learning their suspects' names came in a way none of them could have expected. Once you processed the car, were you able to link any of the evidence inside to a potential suspect?
Yes, of all things, the pink sweater, which was located on the driver's floorboard, got a DNA hit.
Police were stunned. It was the pink sweater that had been used as a disguise at the ATM. Were you surprised DNA was lifted off that sweater?
Definitely surprised, but when you watch the video, when you see the still frames, it's very clearly pressed up against his mouth.
We finally got this DNA hit from saliva. It was a huge, huge stroke of luck.
Who did the DNA hit come back to?
The DNA came back to Jalen Watson.
Who was Jalen Watson?
Jalen Watson was a young man who was currently on parole. Jalen was a known burglar, somebody that I was familiar with.
Still, police knew that Watson had been on the video at the bank ATM. That meant it had been an accomplice at the Blackburns' home who most likely had murdered Amanda. Police immediately obtained a search warrant and began scouring Watson's phone records for a lead on the men Watson was with that morning. You very carefully looked at the phone calls he had made, he had received. Where did that information lead you?
Jalen's phone was being used where the first burglary occurred. We also were able to determine that Jalen's phone number was being used at the location of the second successful ATM withdrawal. And from those records, we were able to determine who he was communicating with.
Those records indicated that Watson's 2 accomplices were 21-year-old Deanna Gordon and 18-year-old Larry Taylor. Both had extensive criminal records. But GPS data from their phones proved that only Taylor had remained in the Blackburns' home.
We could see Gordon and Watson leaving the scene and going up to the 2 different banks.
That meant that Larry Taylor was the hooded man caught on video pacing around Amanda's neighborhood, waiting for the stolen Chrysler Sebring to return.
Taylor's phone remained on the scene. Taylor's walking around the corner, and they pick him up, and all 3 phones leave together.
The evidence made Taylor the prime suspect in Amanda's murder. Police immediately brought all 3 men in for questioning. Detective Thomas Lenn took charge of the interrogations, trying to get either Watson or Gordon to flip.
I'm not the person that's going to confront somebody with anger. I've never been successful in that type of interrogation. I've always been the guy that's going to kill you with kindness and catch you in a lie. None of that worked. It was very frustrating.
But as the pressure of the huge amount of jail time they faced for a cold-blooded murder began to build, Detective Lenn's plan began to work. How were you finally able to get a confession in this case?
Eventually, Deanna Gordon came forward and said he wanted to talk to me. And he gave me a very self-serving statement, minimizing his involvement. that basically told us what had happened, and it all matched up to what we knew to be true.
Gordon said the crimes began in the middle of the night as he, Watson, and Taylor searched for potential targets for a robbery or burglary. What was his version of events that morning?
Diano said that he was with Larry Taylor and Jalen Watson, and they committed that first burglary.
They stole a sleeping woman's cell phone, her car key, and her Chrysler Sebring.
And he admitted his part in the second burglary. He admitted what was taken.
The items included a bag of oranges and a pink sweater. But Gordon insisted he had nothing to do with the crime at the Blackburns' home.
He blamed the final burglary of Amanda Blackburn's house on Jalen Watson and Larry Taylor. He said he remained in the car while they went and committed that burglary, and eventually Jalen Watson came out with a chase card. So we're going to go withdraw this money. Larry's going to stay at the house, and he's going to make sure that Amanda gives us the correct PIN number, and so she can't call the police.
According to Gordon, the plan worked. They successfully took $400 out of Amanda's bank account. On their way back, he said they got a call from Larry Taylor. What did he say happened after that?
He told us about phone calls from Larry Taylor, which he is extremely agitated, and he is demanding that they come and pick him up.
He actually told them that he shot her and that he raped her.
Did Gordon say that was always part of the plan?
No. Both Gordon and Jalen Watson, who eventually gave me a statement, said that no one was supposed to get hurt.
But their own statements led detectives to believe that wasn't true.
Diano Gordon said during the first burglary, we stopped Larry Taylor from killing this woman because he didn't want to be identified. They knew that's something that he was capable of doing. But they were that greedy, and they wanted that money, so they went for it.
Armed with confessions from both of his accomplices, Larry Taylor was placed under arrest. Diano Gordon and Jalen Watson took plea deals and were sentenced to 30 and 29 years, respectively, for their roles in the deadly crime spree. Taylor pled not guilty, but the evidence against him was overwhelming. In September of 2022, he was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to 86 years. For Davy Blackburn and the rest of Amanda's family, it was a somber ending to a tragic chapter of their lives.
We know that Amanda's with Jesus. We know none of this is going to bring her back, and so that makes us extremely sad.
Despite their sadness, loved ones have been able to focus on moving forward while keeping Amanda close to their hearts.
Today, it's beautiful. It's 77 degrees, and I could feel the warmth of the sun on my face. And I thought that's how Amanda truly made me feel. She was like warmth and light all of the time. Her presence in this world is gone, but it's like she's still here. She lives on in so many memories, and I am so thankful. She'll always be with us.
You've spoken about forgiveness being a very personal decision people have to make, whether they have faith or they don't. How do you view the three men that were involved in this horrendous tragedy?
It's a great question. My view of them has evolved. First, I felt a whole lot of hatred. But forgiveness isn't a feeling, it's a decision. I have to put my faith in front of my feelings. I had to forgive these men. This kind of pain is going to take you in one of two directions. Send you into a vortex that destroys your life. Or you do something to bring meaning to this.
Davy Blackburn has turned his loss into a new mission. The pastor is now doing public speaking about how to move forward after a life-shattering tragedy like the one he experienced following Amanda's murder. We wish him well. I'm Paula Zahn. Please join us next time when we're back on the case.